Today, we're counting down our picks for the top 5 craziest stories ever told on the Joe Rogan Experience. From unimaginable survival to mind-blowing revelations, these stories left listeners completely captivated. Which one blew your mind? Let us know in the comments below. 1. Jules' rise to stardom.
I remember being on the beach one day and I was like, I wanted to do it, but I was terrified of doing it. So I made myself a promise that my number 1 job would still be to figure out how to be happy, and my number 2 job would be to be a musician. And then under the musician category, that I wanted to be an artist more than I wanted to be famous. And so knowing those was like having my North Star, and I felt like I could navigate and make decisions based on those things. And so I went ahead and signed the record deal. I turned down the advance. I turned down $1 million bonus.
Holy shit.
As a homeless kid.
Oh my God.
Jewel, the multi-platinum singer-songwriter, shared an eye-opening account of her challenging rise to fame on the Joe Rogan Experience. Far from a typical success story, Jewel's journey was marked by homelessness, extreme poverty, and a relentless drive to stay true to her artistic values. Born into a family of musicians in Alaska, Jewel grew up without many modern conveniences, including indoor plumbing. Her family's nomadic lifestyle set the stage for the resilience she would later need to make it in the music industry. However, things took a turn when she moved to California and found herself homeless after being unable to pay rent. Jewel's story took an even more dramatic turn when she shared how she had no access to healthcare and couldn't afford basic necessities. 2. Yeonmi Park's escape from North Korea.
But the thing is, that's the tragic thing for North Korea, we cannot even say goodbye to our loved ones. So if we got caught on the journey, and if my father knew that we were escaping, he's gonna be punished so much.
Yeonmi Park, a North Korean defector and human rights activist, recounted one of the most harrowing escape stories ever told on the Joe Rogan Experience. Park's life in North Korea was filled with unimaginable hardships, but what truly shocked listeners was the extreme lengths she went to in order to escape. Growing up in North Korea, Park described how electricity and basic freedoms were luxuries her family could never afford. Food was scarce, and she and her family often ate insects or grass to survive. The brutal conditions eventually led Park and her mother to make the perilous decision to escape the country in 2007, when Park was just 13 years old. But the journey was nothing short of a nightmare. They first crossed the Yalu River into China, where they had to avoid being caught by Chinese authorities, who would send them back to North Korea. Park described how she and her mother fell into the hands of human traffickers who sold her mother as a slave. The price for their safety was steep, and Park was forced to make unthinkable sacrifices to ensure their survival. One of the most gripping details of her story was how they carried poison pills and razor blades during their journey across the Gobi Desert. 3. Tyson Fury's identity crisis. Tyson Fury, the heavyweight boxing champion, opened up on the Joe Rogan Experience about the most challenging fight of his life.
I'd wake up and I think, why did I wake up this morning? This is coming from a man who had everything: money, fame, glory, titles, a wife, a family, kids, everything. But I felt as if I had nothing. I felt there was an empty, gaping hole.
His battle with mental health. Fury, known for his knockout power and dominant victories in the ring, revealed the shocking reality of how he spiraled into depression after reaching the pinnacle of his career. After defeating Vladimir Klitschko in 2015 and becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion, Fury should have been on top of the world. Instead, he felt an overwhelming emptiness.
I didn't care about boxing. I didn't care about living. I just wanted to die. And I was going to have a good time doing it while I was doing it.
In his interview with Rogan, Fury explained how, despite achieving everything he had ever wanted, world titles, fame, money, he still felt hollow. He had no sense of purpose and began questioning his own existence. His depression worsened as he turned to alcohol and drugs to cope. Fury shared that he often thought about ending his life, feeling like there was no way out.
I look back on it now and I think, would I change that? I wouldn't. And not many people will think, well, this man's crazy for saying that on a radio show, but I wouldn't change a thing because I know it was supposed to happen and I needed to be tested to see what type of character I was.
One of the most poignant moments of the interview came when Fury recounted a day he decided to end it all. He got into his car and drove at top speed toward a bridge, ready to crash and take his own life. 4. Francis Ngannou's journey from poverty to UFC champion. Francis Ngannou is known today as one of the most feared fighters in the UFC, but his path to success was filled with unimaginable struggles. On the Joe Rogan Experience, Ngannou detailed his incredible journey from poverty in Cameroon to the heights of the UFC heavyweight division.
I hated this thing growing up. Oh, you can't imagine. I hated the landmine, everything. I hated my life.
Growing up in a small village in Cameroon, Ngannou lived a life of extreme poverty, where basic necessities like food and education were hard to come by. At the age of 10, Ngannou began working in sand mines to help support his family. His days were long and grueling, often going without food for extended periods.
You know, so I have to wake up at 5, just get ready, start work. Sometimes with not eating. Then I get to school, and the school close at maybe 4 to 5. But since I didn't eat in the morning, by noon, 1 or 2, I'm hungry, I'm starving.
Ngannou described his life in Cameroon as one of constant hunger and hard labor. But even amidst these hardships, Ngannou held on to a dream: to become a professional fighter. With no money or connections, he set his sights on making it to Europe, where he believed he could finally pursue his dream of becoming an MMA fighter. His journey was filled with danger. After leaving Cameroon, Ngannou crossed the Sahara Desert on foot, was imprisoned in Morocco, and lived in squalid conditions as an illegal immigrant in France. But despite these obstacles, he eventually found his way into a gym in Paris, where his raw talent and determination caught the attention of coaches. Ngannou's meteoric rise in the UFC was fast, as he quickly became known for his devastating knockout power. But the story behind his success is one of resilience, determination, and the refusal to give up, no matter how bleak the circumstances. Number 5. David Goggins, transformation into the ultimate warrior. David Goggins is known as one of the toughest men alive, but his journey to becoming a Navy SEAL, ultra-endurance athlete, and motivational icon was filled with hardship and self-doubt. On the Joe Rogan Experience, Goggins shared the incredible transformation that took him from a man who was overweight, struggling, and filled with insecurities to the embodiment of mental toughness and perseverance.
I wanted to be a man that detests mediocrity. It got me in a lot of trouble in the SEAL teams and going forward in my life, because I started looking down on people for not going hard as and shit.
Growing up, Goggins faced intense racism, abuse from his father, and a deep sense of worthlessness. He explained that he felt like a failure for most of his early life.